A Florida professor using his platform in the classroom to condemn, apparently, the Christian faith. One essay assignment asking students, why did Christianity and its male gods seek to silence women? Another insisting Michelangelo's sculptures and paintings communicated that same-sex relationships were not a sin, and criticizing Christianity as, quote, one of the most violent forms of religion the world has ever seen. Our next guest dared to challenge the Polk State College educator down in Florida and got failing grades for it. Today, she's fighting back. 16-year-old Grace Lewis and her attorney, Matthew Staver, founder of Liberty Counsel, both join us from Florida today. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we should point out, Grace, you are 16 years old, you're still in high school, and you were taking a virtual class over the computer with this professor of humanities at Polk State, a fellow by the name of Lance L.J. Russum. All right, at what point did you realize, in your estimation, that this professor was anti-religious in the way he was presenting his humanities?
Well, it began in the very beginning of the course, within week 1, when he gave us a taste of his beliefs when he said that all religions came from the same source, human imagination. And then it became evidently clear within week 4 as the essay questions became more opinionated. And eventually, towards near the end, where week 11, 12, 13, and 14,
sure,
I was given zeros for not agreeing with them.
You were being punished because your point of view was different than his?
Yes. Yes, sir.
We looked for a picture of this professor, but we couldn't find one. However, we did find an image on his Facebook page, and this tells you a little something about him. That is an image of Jesus, and we have blurred out the fact that Jesus is flipping the bird right there. Matthew, at what point did you get involved in this case?
Well, Grace and her family contacted us after she got not just 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 consecutive zeros. And Grace is a 3.9 student GPA, so she is someone who's very intelligent. And she simply was being belittled because this person is a militant atheist intent on destroying her faith. And he hasn't done it just to her. He's done it to others as well. In fact, a recent, another student who has been also part of his class said he required the students to have a journal, and he would read the journals, and when in her journal she said she believed in God, he took her to the side and said, you need to drop my class. Ooh. This guy is proselytizing militant atheism, and so when Grace and her family were not able to resolve these consecutive zeros, then they got involved with us, and we communicated to the dean and to others and to him. And thus far, the dean has not taken remedial action to remedy this out-of-control professor.
Well, I tell you what, Matthew, we got a statement from Polk University. They wrote us last night. They say, this accusation is baseless, without merit, and completely lacking in factual support. All right, so Grace, after you got a lawyer involved, and after you got 4 zeros in a row, your grades suddenly got better after you complained to the administration, didn't they?
Yes, sir, it did.
What do you think? Why do you think that is?
I think it's because possibly that they might know that something's up, that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. And I know after, when he took you aside and you just said, you know, he said, you got to drop the class. You thought about it, but you decided to fight. Why?
Because students shouldn't be afraid to believe what they to believe in faith, and dropping the class would have been good for me, but it wouldn't have been good for the students coming behind me. A lot of people ask, why didn't I just appeal the grade? Again, because it's about the students that are coming before me that are going to have to go through this.
Well, that's great.
And this is not what education should be.
I agree. Matthew, what do you want from the school?
Well, we want the school to go back and regrade those. Certainly, you don't have an F on this particular assignment. I've read the assignments. I've been a dean and professor of law. This is a very high-level response by her. What I think they need to do is they need to go back and they need to address this professor. He is proselytizing militant atheism. On his email, he quotes an individual who says that Adolf Hitler was not violent enough. He's a Marxist atheist, and he's free to have his own views, but he's not free to proselytize and belittle Grace and others. And so they need to address this professor. Whether he's qualified or not is another issue.
Well, the way grade inflation is these days at the college level, to get 4 zeros in a row is extraordinary. Grace Lewis and Matthew Staver, we thank you very much for joining us live. Keep us posted on what happens to that professor
Thank
down
you.
at Polk State.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. What do you think about that? Please email us. Meanwhile, straight